Hello and welcome to the Daily Fantasy 5 podcast. I'm your host, Scott Grierson. We are bringing you the 5 things you need to know every day in the world of fantasy sports. Today is not April 2nd. Today is August 2nd. It is a Friday, episode 163. And today we're talking about nothing but DraftKings. Now, I play my daily fantasy sports on FanDuel, but DraftKings came out with their rankings the other day. So you can actually make a lineup for the first week of the NFL season, which is pretty crazy. I made a lineup because that's what I love to do. So we're going to talk about that in our show today because there was really no news to speak of today. So we're having a DraftKings Friday. Maybe I'll play both DraftKings and FanDuel because I guess you'll be able to pick up some different value at the different sites. So I've never really used DraftKings before. I've been exclusively a FanDuel, but since I'm doing the podcast, we might have to have a FanDuel Friday and then a DraftKings. I don't know, we'll make some kind of an alliteration up. But I hope you enjoyed the show yesterday. Sorry it was so long. It was definitely the longest show ever done on the Daily Fantasy 5. But I heard a lot of positive response. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Chris, for being on the show. All right, let's get today's show right after a word from our sponsor, www.mathradio.com, where you can pick up an online math course for as little as $9.99. These courses help your kids ages 7 through 17 to get better grades, score higher on their exams, and even helps them get into college. Once again, this sponsor's website is www.mathradio.com. Pick up an online math course, mathradio.com. All right, so let's go through my lineup for FanDuel. So the first things that stood out to me were the running backs. At their 14th ranked running back, they have Kerryon Johnson at 5,800. Kerryon Johnson is playing at the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this defense should absolutely stink. They last year they gave up the most fantasy points per game to running backs at 25.7. They are supposedly going to have this amazing pace of play, which should give the Lions more plays as well. And then Arizona, according to DVOA, finished 29th against the run last year. Against their defense was 29th against the run. So I love Kerryon Johnson in this matchup. But for only 5,800, ranked as the 14th best player, it makes a lot of sense to me. So he is my running back number one. Running back number two is Chris Carson from Seattle, just $100 less at 5,700 at home against the Bengals. So Cincinnati last year finished 26th against the run, and they finished second in most points given up for per game. Fantasy points for running backs at 24.4. So both in the last matchup and this matchup, the opposing team gives up all kinds of points to the running backs. I expect the Seahawks to get a lead early on the Bengals, and then they just pound the ball to Chris Carson, and they get an easy win during the first week of the season. I think Chris Carson could be a top 5 running back, and they've got him ranked 15th this week. So those are my running backs easily, Kerryon Johnson and Chris Carson. I'm very excited to see when FanDuel's rankings come out, where they have these guys ranked and how we can compare them for the week 1 matchups. But I think this is amazing value. I don't know much about DraftKings. I don't know if they're going to change these rankings later on, or if this is just the ranking for week 1. I guess you need to wait until closer to if the rankings are going to stay the same. You need to wait and then see what kind of injuries happen in training camp. But man, those are great values in my opinion for week 1 at running back. Let's talk quarterback. So essentially, I'm going with a Minnesota passing game in this lineup. I've got Kirk Cousins as my quarterback. He's QB 16 in this amazing matchup versus Atlanta. So they're at home against Atlanta, and Cousins is only going for 5,500. Again, that's the 16th ranked quarterback. Atlanta's DVOA against the pass was 29th, and they gave up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks last year. The defense has already taken a couple hits. I believe they lost the safety already in training camp. They weren't very good last year, and they didn't add much. They kind of expect to be better by attrition or just by being a little bit healthier. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be the case for them. Atlanta likes to score, so Minnesota is going to have to throw the ball as well. So I think this is just a great matchup for Kirk Cousins, and I'm going all in with this lineup. It's a little bit risky, but I'm taking 2 Minnesota wide receivers as well. We know about the numbers for Atlanta's defense. Again, number 29 against the pass. They are also not very good against wide receivers. So let me just see this here. Okay, so Diggs and Thielen. Diggs is going for 6,700, and Thielen's going for 6,800. I'm going to start both of them. I don't care. They are 5th at They gave it the fifth most fantasy points to wide receivers last year. So this defense is just in tatters. Again, I think Minnesota is going to have to throw the ball to keep pace with Atlanta. I don't think they're just going to be able to run out the clock with Dalvin Cook. So I think they're going to need to throw the ball. I'm taking Kirk Cousins and two very valuable wide receivers at Diggs and Thielen. I think they were both ranked around number 10, 9 and 10. They were back-to-back. So I think that's good value. I think they're going to be monsters. While it's kind of risky to take two wide receivers and a quarterback from the same team, I also think they're pretty safe because of the defense they're going against. And because I believe in Atlanta's offense, I think they'll be able to score. So I think this should be a high-scoring game for week 1. All right, at my third wide receiver slot, I needed to save some money. And I found D.D. Westbrook, my boy, ranked 27th for this week 1 matchup against Kansas City. Now, Kansas City's numbers aren't as gaudy as you might think. They're a little bit better against wide receivers than you might expect. However, Jacksonville's going to have to throw. Their defense is good, but they're not going to stop Kansas City. And Westbrook, I believe, is their number 1 wide receiver. So I see a lot of Foles to Westbrook combinations this year. I'm willing to risk Westbrook at a price of $4,800, which allows me to have all my other stars in the lineup. Speaking of stars, at tight end, I'm taking George Kittle. Not much of a huge thing here, but he has a nice matchup against Tampa Bay. I think San Francisco is going to have to throw the ball. I don't think their defense can stop Tampa Bay. O.J. Howard. Apparently, San Francisco was very good against the tight end last year, which I didn't realize. So O.J. Howard, I thought about that. He was the 4th-ranked tight end, but I ended up taking Kittle, the 2nd-ranked tight end, against that terrible Tampa Bay defense. And then my defense that I'm drafting would be Seattle. They are, again, at home against Cincinnati. We talked about that early. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be able to do anything without A.J. Green. They're going to be completely one-dimensional. All the focus is going to be on Mixon, and I think Seattle's going to be able to shut him down. So I'm starting Seattle as my defense, and it works. It comes in right at budget. So, again, let's just go over it. I'm starting Kirk Cousins. My running backs are Kerryon Johnson and Chris Carson. Wide receivers are Thielen, Diggs, and D.D. Westbrook. At my flex, I'm starting Tavon Coleman. Did I talk about Coleman? Maybe I didn't talk about Coleman. So my flex is Coleman, the 49ers running back, formerly from Atlanta. He's only going for $5,000. He's the 20th ranked running back, and he's playing at the Bucs. So I'm hoping that either the 49ers get the lead and they want to run the ball against the Bucs, or even if they're behind, Coleman's going to catch a lot of passes from Garoppolo out of the backfield. Tampa Bay was 31st against the run in DVOA last year, and they gave up the 5th most points per game per fantasy at 22.3. So I think Tevin Coleman is a good flex option at only $5,000. I think that's a great price. Just to let you know, like the top running backs are going for $9,200 is Ezekiel Elliott and $9,000 is Saquon Barkley, and they're playing against each other. So there's probably going to be a lot of running in that game. And it's almost twice the price of what Coleman's going for. So I think it's really good value here against a really, really bad defense. So that is my team. Coleman at the flex, Kittle at tight end, and the Seattle defense. So that is my DraftKings team for right now. Obviously, I'm not going to start this team. It was an awful lot of fun to do. Go ahead and check it out. I created an account. It's free. I didn't deposit anything. I just wanted to see the rankings. So I couldn't figure out how to see the rankings without actually going into it. And it's not like they have them listed in order. And well, they do have them listed in order, but I wish they had a numbered list next to it. You have to sit there and count. Okay, D.D. Westbrook, you have to go through 27 guys to figure out that he's number 27. It's really annoying. They should have just a numbered list going next to it to see like where they're actually at, but they don't. Maybe during the season, someone's going to put up a spreadsheet with all these rankings. That would be nice. But I could not find it today when I was researching. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope that got your whistle wet for a little daily fantasy football. That's going to be fun. I'm excited. Again, hopefully we're going to have Chris on every week to talk about daily fantasy. I got a couple of other people lined up to do shows as well. So our shows during the season is basically going to be about injuries, replacements, and daily fantasy lineups, because that's really what I'm into. So that'll start off, in about 4 weeks here. So again, please visit our sponsor, www.mathradio.com. You can pick up an online math course for as little as $9.99 to help your kids from 3rd grade all the way up through high school, and even to help them get ready for the SATs in college. And you can pick up a course for as little as $9.99. It's less than the cost of a pizza. So go ahead and do that today. Visit mathradio.com. If you're listening to the show on a podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and a review. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and tell a friend. Bye for now.